Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is official_Joel TV. Today we'll be talking about fundamental human rights of Nigerians and how they can use it or exercise it against police brutality. Every Nigerian has rights, duties, liabilities and privileges which are provided for in hundreds of laws that exist in Nigeria. However, there are certain rights that are referred to as inalienable rights, meaning rights that cannot be taken away, rights for which the law has made specific and special provisions. These rights are contained in the Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and are officially known as fundamental rights. On this episode, I will be explaining what these rights are, because every Nigerian really should know about their rights and how to exercise them, especially against police brutality or police harassment. The important of this fundamental right is right to life. This is the most important right every Nigerian, in fact every human being, has on this earth. This is the right that everyone has to exist and that no one can intentionally deprive a person of living. In a nutshell, what this right means is that anybody cannot take your life unless you have been tried by a court of competent jurisdiction or a judge and you've been found guilty. The exceptions of this right, however, is if a person dies as a result of the reasonable use of force while in defense of a person or a property. The second exception is that when a person dies as a result of the use of reasonable force in order to effect a lawful arrest. Thirdly, when a person dies as a result of reasonable force for the purpose of suppressing riot, insurrection, or mutiny. The most important of this fundamental right is right to dignity. The right basically means that every Nigerian has a right not to be subjected to torture or inhuman, degrading treatment, and no Nigerian shall be subjected to circumstances which can connote servitude or slavery. However, the exceptions for this right are any labor required in consequence of the sentence or order of the court, any labor required of members of the armed forces, police force, compulsory or national service. Thirdly, any labor required which is reasonably necessary in the event of an emergency. And lastly, any labor or service that forms a part of normal communal or civic obligations of the well-being of the most important of these fundamental rights is the right to personal liberty. This right guarantees that individuals have a right to their liberty. This right means that no individual must be deprived of his or her right to liberty or freedom unless it is in accordance with the law. When a person is obtained or detained in lawful custody, he or she has the right to remain silent until they speak to their lawyer. He or she has the right to be informed 24 hours prior to the arrest or detention. He or she has the right to be charged to a court of competent jurisdiction within a reasonable time. However, the exception for this right goes thus: the execution of the court order or sentence. Number 2, the arrest for a commission of an offense or before the commission of an offense. Number 3, restrictions placed on individuals who are under 18 for the purpose of their welfare or education. And number 4, the restrictions placed on people of unsound mind, people with infectious diseases, and people with drug issues for the purpose of their welfare or for the protection of the community at large. Up next is the right to fair hearing. This right guarantees that in the determination of an individual's civil rights and obligations, a person shall be entitled to a fair hearing within a reasonable time by a court or other tribunal established by law and constituted in such a manner as to secure its independence and impartiality. However, the right guarantees the following: presumption of innocence, public trial for criminal offences, written charge informing the individual of the detail and nature of his offence, adequate time and facilities to prepare for his or her defence, right to a legal practitioner of his or her choice, and so on. Next is the right to privacy. The 1999 Constitution guarantees and protects the privacy of citizens, their homes, correspondence, telephone conversation, and telegraphic communications. It is only natural by the virtue of this provision to deduce the 3 key elements, which are privacy of the individual, privacy of the home, privacy of the correspondence, conversation, and communication. Going to the first, privacy of the individual. By virtue of this provision, this will protect an individual against unlawful invasive procedures such as drug testing and blood testing. Secondly, privacy of homes, which would include protection from unlawful entry and harassment of an individual's home. And lastly, privacy of correspondence, conversation, and communication. This protects the privacy of an individual's mail, telephone conversations, email, and other forms of communication. Up next is one of the most salient rights an individual possesses in Nigeria, which is the right to freedom of expression. Every Nigerian is entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impact ideas and information without interference, and is entitled to own, establish, operate any medium for the dissemination of information, ideas, and opinion. Well, the exceptions are only persons authorized by the government upon fulfilling conditions laid down by the Act of the National Assembly may own or establish or operate television or wireless broadcasting stations. Secondly, law validly created for the purpose of preventing the disclosure of information received in confidence. And lastly, laws validly created for the purpose of imposing restriction on government officials or members of the armed rights. Makes you to understand that you have the right to life that not even the police or anyone can take away from you. You also have the right to dignity, which means you should not be tortured or put in servitude or forced labor by anybody. You also have the right to personal liberty, which means that even if you are in detention, you have the right to keep quiet until your lawyer is there to speak for you. You also have the right to fair hearing, which means that even if you've been accused of a crime, you have been detained, you are still presumed innocent until the court of law pronounces you guilty. You have the right to privacy, which means that your personal data cannot be diverted to a third party. Your home cannot be invaded unwarranted or unsolicited without a warrant. You cannot be rough-handled and so as to get personal information from you. And lastly, you have the right to freedom of expression, which means you have the sole right to express whatever opinion you think is right, but beware of hate speech, sedition, libel, and all that. Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is official_TV. Today we'll be talking about fundamental human rights of Nigerians and how they can use it or exercise it against police brutality.